to the Cincinnati Bengals, guys. We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals 2025 NFL draft class. And let me tell you guys, this is a very interesting draft for the for the Cincinnati Bengals. They had some promising upside. They had some head scratchers, and they're like, yeah, but we will get into the day 3 drop off. Let's get in by pick by breaking things down, guys. Round number 1, pick number 17. They drafted an edge rusher, Shamir Stewart from Texas A&M. Now, starting in round 1, Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Now, this is a classic traits over tape pick. Stewart's production, it was kind of meh in college, right? He just had 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons with Texas A&M, but the physical tools are off the charts. This man is 6'5", 270, elite get off and raw power. This is a projection pick. Hopefully we can mold this guy before Trey fully walks away from our team. The Bengals clearly think that they can unlock what A&M could never really do. He's not a finished product, but if they are right, he could be a game changer off of the edge. I still call this a B, but it's a risky at number 17. This was clearly a pick saying that we're not going to get Trey Hendrickson for a long-term deal, so let's bring in this Stewart guy, maybe learn from Trey a little bit, and maybe we can get half of what Trey did for us moving forward. And then round number 2, they went defense yes again. Yes, their defense sucks right now. Let's just be flat out honest. But they drafted the South Carolina linebacker, Demetrius Wright, a linebacker from South Carolina. He's another athletic range guy. He flies around the field. He can cover, and he's not afraid to get in the mix out of the box. That said, there are some high impact positions still on the board. Corners, tackles, even a few edge rushers still available. So while Knight should be a starter pretty quickly, I don't know if it was the best bang for your buck at round number 2 at the 49th overall pick. Hey, head scratcher, right? Now, round number 3, they did go offensive line. They drafted offensive guard Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. Drafting Georgia boys lately, you cannot go wrong. This is where I really liked what they did. Fairchild is a monster, right? He is SEC tested, and he plays with great leverage. He's got starter written all over him. The interior offensive line depth has been a concern for Cincinnati for a while now, so locking in someone with that kind of floor was a very, very smart move. You're not swinging for the upside here, but you're getting reliability, and that's valuable. So day 2 overall pick grade for the 2nd and 3rd round, I got to give him a solid B. It's solid, but it's not flashy, right? The 2nd round pick, still a little head scratcher. The round 3 pick was a nice solid grade. Now, round number 4, they drafted another linebacker, Barrett Carter, out of Clemson. Like I said, he is a good player, high football IQ, good instincts, and plays with effort. When I watched his tape when I was preparing for the show, that was the one thing that I saw. He is always flying around the ball, giving you 100%. He could always anticipate, but then again, 2 linebackers in the first 4 rounds. Why? I understand the Bengals defense sucks, but just not an ideal roster management when you're trying to keep up with the ASCS and on an arms race. They are doubling down on the defense, but I still think they could address the corner or a wide receiver as well. Now, in the 5th round, Jalen Rivers, offensive tackle out of Miami. This one makes sense. They needed depth at tackle, was the real issue last year, especially with injuries late in the season. River is a bit of a project, but he's got the experience and size. He could push for a swing tackle role if he develops in camp. Not a bad value here. Now, overall, yes, they did have some overall picks, right? They did draft a running back in the 6th round, Tajay Brooks out of Texas Tech. I don't know much about him, but I do need to do some more research on him. But overall, as of right now, I would give this draft grade a B-, as it is not a disaster, but it's not a game changer either. If Stewart becomes a star, this whole class looks better. But if he doesn't, we may be looking back at missed opportunities. So what do you guys think? Was Shedeur Stewart the right pick at 17? What day 3 guys you think actually stinks? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Hit that like button. And if you're still riding with me, don't forget to subscribe as well for more Bengals content as we roll into training camp and to schedule breakdown. So with that being said, guys, let me know in the comments. Do you guys like the Bengals draft pick? Do you hate it? Or are you indifferent? I'm giving them a B-. What is your guys' grade? Let's see here. Let's see what the people are saying. James Frank says the Bengals did all right, I guess. That edge rusher they got might be special. Key word there, James, is might be special. Didn't have a lot of production, but he has a very, very high ceiling. So, James, when you are drafting at 17, right? Normally you are drafting for the best player off of the board at this particular time. Because usually if you're drafting 17, actually about 19 and up, you have a pretty solid team. You're just adding depth, right? However, the Bengals defense did suck, but there were other players out there that I think they could have drafted over him. He has a very, very low floor, but a very, very high ceiling. I would rather have somebody that's kind of have a higher floor, but that is just me. Old Man River says Bengals get a C. They needed defense, and they did draft defense a lot. They drafted a defensive tackle. They added the edge rusher, off a couple linebackers. Right? They went defense. It's just not good value picks, right? Jim Powell says every highlight video was playing at full speed, but they all look slow as hell. Maybe I just watched too hard. So I feel that, Jim, after about the 12th pick, especially in the first round, we are kind of over all the massive highlights, right? We are kind of over all the in-game footage, right? Like, I believe, what was it, Friday night, maybe even Saturday afternoon. Who was the black guy that does college football day? I forget his name. But he kept saying, "Oh, this kid had two block kicks. This kid had 1 block kick. This guy had 5 block kicks. This guy had 16 tip passes." Like, I don't care about that. Like, damn it, just get to the next pick, right? But yeah, but we definitely started to watch a little bit hard. Old Man River says, "Here's a question: which division drafted the most?" I don't know. I would have to go back and look, but the Ravens had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 round picks. So the AFC North was drafting a lot, right? They definitely had a lot of draft picks coming up on them. Alpha Rob, my man. What's up, Alpha Rob? He says, if the Bengals can't get their defense just average, they are a playoff team. Hell, Alpha Rob, if you talk to the Bengals fans, they were a playoff team last year. The only reason why they were not in the Super Bowl was because the Kansas City Chiefs tanked week 18. They thought that, hey, we make it into the playoffs. Nobody's beating us. We are going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. Slow it down, Bengals fans. As they are a playoff team with an average defense, they're nowhere near a Super Bowl contender. Nowhere near a Super Bowl contender with an average defense, right? Now, the offense is like pretty awesome, but hey, it is what it is. Real McCoy's in the chat today. What's up, Real McCoy? He says, Burrows will always be the bridesmaids. Bengals are happy just being talked about. Real McCoy, comment of the day, man. You are exactly right. The Bengals have been that way ever since Marvin Lewis, right? Just like the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals are the same way. We are happy being just good enough, just making it into the playoffs. We are happy just good enough to be a title segment on Man Hour. We are happy just good enough to be a title segment on Fox Sports, right? They're happy just being a 9-10 win team. They're happy just potentially winning a wild card game. Comment of the day. This is a 100% factual statement from Real McCoy. My man just read my mind. Shay says, pay Trey and address the areas of the defense. Stewart is a freak, but come on, man. Trey, I know you are new to the show, man, and I am with you. They should have paid Trey well before they paid T. Higgins, well before they restructured Jamar Chase and or Joe Burrow. Trey Hendrickson has, 15 or 14 and a half sacks the last 2 seasons. Since 2020, he is second in sacks just behind TJ Watt at 72.5, I believe it is. The man gets after the ball. He had 14 and a half sacks last season, and the Bengals were terrible on defense. Think about if he wasn't there, how bad they would have been. They would have been nowhere close to the playoffs. They would have even been sniffing a 9-win season. They would have been a 3 or 4 win team tops. Tops. That's it. Oh, man, River.
Pigskin pun.
Says, yes, they did draft defense. Depends how hell that's why they got a seat. I see you. So see how they gel. Gotcha. James Strang says, plus, I give the Bengals a D+. Is that a little bit of homer in you? Guys, James Frank is a Cleveland Browns fan. I feel that's a little bit of homerness, but come on. That is a little rough, right? That's a little rough. Oh, remember, says, which conference I meant, like the Big Ten, SEC, Pac-10. Oh, the SEC by far had the most draft picks. So Georgia alone had 14, I think. Was it like Georgia had 14, then Alabama had like 13? Like, yeah, the SEC by far had the most players drafted. However, they do have like 22 teams or some shit like that. So take that with a grain of salt. You can do it per capita, right? Per capita, the Big 12 owns that shit, baby. Don't be sleeping on the Big 12. Don't be sleeping on my boys. Don't be talking about my boys.